back to Max Talks. That's what I've called it. Yeah. Again, probably need to think about another name, but second podcast, and I'm joined here today by Jenny Thewlis.
Thank you.
So why don't you just do a little intro, a bit about you and what you do, and then we'll get into some questions and some chatting. So
okay, great. Well, I'm a registered nutritionist.
Yep.
So I've been doing that for about 20 years, maybe a bit more. Time goes by.
Mm-hmm.
I was a nurse before that, so I've kind of always had a bit of a medical-y background.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just gone through various stages of qualifying, setting up my own business, seeing people for a while, then going back and teaching where I learnt, so teaching new students to do consultations.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've just evolved really over a period of time, as I've gone through various stages of like having children, and then to the stage I am at now, where I get asked if I'm your mother on the way in. That's another story. So I you find you gravitate towards certain groups of people. So I'm now sort of fairly well attached to older ladies, like 40 plus, and helping them navigate the hormonal transition that they're going through, and often related to exercise, because that's sort of another interest that I have. So I tend to meet people in that as well. So so that's pretty much what I do. So I'm still working a little bit one-to-one with people, which is always good. That tends to be more problem focused. So people will often seek out nutrition help when they realise they've tried everything else, been through the NHS for however many years and have not got anywhere, so suddenly realise that maybe food could be helpful, or what they do and don't eat. So working one-to-one, but then working in small groups, which I do really like as well, little kind of focus groups with people, and as we've said before, as long as you keep it small enough, then people seem really happy to bounce off each other, learn from each other, and
for sure.
So,
And so that's mostly, or is that all online, or the group stuff you do some in person, or because obviously we'll get on to what we did recently together, even though I wasn't there. But is it mostly online, all online, or how is it working with the one-to-ones and the groups?
It's a mixture. It changed, unsurprisingly, during COVID. We were very much, as a profession, discouraged from doing online work before then, because you need to really get a sense of somebody when you meet them in person, especially if you're getting a full medical history and stuff. So they really discouraged that. But obviously then with COVID, everything just went online. Actually, it suddenly opens up a whole new, opens loads of doors for you. You can see people that you wouldn't have been able to see before. In theory, you can see somebody in Australia. So
and a different routine, I suppose, for you in terms of work.
Exactly.
Not your usual sort of wake up 9 to 5 sort of style thing. Even though you probably, even in-person PT and coaching in general and isn't necessarily like 9 to 5, is it? I suppose it's probably the opposite. Before 9 and after 5 in most cases.
I'm sure even more so for
for the PT. Great. I mean, would you say you prefer the online stuff over sitting down in person? I know you touched on sort of you get, I'd say, probably more of a connection in person rather than online, but is it a preference now that you just do online stuff, or you're not fussed?
I don't mind either. When COVID struck, I was teaching. So we suddenly had to
so you did your training at...
I did it at the Northern College of Acupuncture, which is an unfortunate name because they don't even have nutrition in the title. But it's the only place in the north of England where you can do... it's actually a master's course. Although I didn't quite stay to the end of the master's, but it's a master's in nutritional therapy, as it was called then. I trained there, and then I went back to teach there. And I was teaching online, so I was teaching in person. So we were doing an in-person student clinic. So we'd have people come in, the student would see the client, and myself or another supervisor would oversee that. And all of a sudden, we had to take that all online. So we had to get the student to see the client online, but we had to be able to oversee that as well online.
Yeah,
so
like a group call sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it was a really
Interesting,
big challenge. But looking back, it was really good fun. Maybe it didn't seem that much fun at the time, but you know, it was such a steep learning curve.
Yeah. And I suppose unlike other health sort of jobs, you don't necessarily have to be seeing somebody in person with nutrition, whereas with, you know, PT maybe and physiotherapy, I mean it's changing for sure, because I know a lot of coaches and physios that are going to online work, but I think it's more of the conversation with the person with nutrition rather than you know, having to do something in person, being physically there. So it's really interesting.
The only thing I would say is that being a nutritionist is actually quite a therapeutic relationship very often. So again, back to the people who have got health issues, they very often find somebody like a nutritionist, it's the first time they've been able to sit down and just talk about themselves, and somebody be really interested and listen for an hour, 90 minutes. Whereas all the, you know, any consultations you get with health professionals tend to be quite short. So you do end up sometimes having a very therapeutic relationship with somebody, and, you know, they'll cry and you know, that's sometimes difficult to manage, but you can do that far better in person, obviously, than you can.
I think people need that though, don't they? They need a lot of time. I mean, looking at my job and, you know, PTing people, I think the misconception is that it's just a session in the gym, which, you know, to a certain extent it is, but there's all the other aspects of their health which work towards that help them work towards their goals, which nutrition is one. So the conversations are needed, and not just a short conversation. So
because they've got to build that, or you've got to build that trust, so that they can give you all of that information that you need.
Because people are sneaky,
guarded,
of course they are. So it's hard. I mean, that's probably the biggest difference between, I think, a PT and one of the biggest difference, but a PT or a coach and a nutritionist. Obviously a specialised knowledge, but just people coming to working with a nutrition coach probably a little bit more open with regards to maybe what they're wanting to tell you. But I don't know, you tell me, what do you find? I mean, looking at males and females, I know you've probably worked with more females, but even going back to maybe when you first started, but what was the biggest difference between males and females? And obviously, you know, age plays a part, but what's the biggest difference between males and females?
Well, first of all, even though I haven't always exclusively worked with women, I've worked more with women by nature of the people who come to see a nutritionist. I think men generally, you know, men are known for not going to see the doctor, not seeking out help from people because it's like a sign of weakness, etc. So I've worked with fewer men over the years. And I suppose you could generalise, although not always strictly true, but you could generalise that men are much more, right, just tell me 1, 2, 3, what do I need to do?
Yeah, straightforward.
Just tell me how
like
it is.
Results driven, sort of.
Absolutely.
less about the emotions and the holistic approach. It's more about,
but in fairness, women have got, one thing I've found with a lot of women is that they have to cater for everybody else in their life all the time. So they may have very strong self-driven goals, but at the same time they've got to cook for their children and their husband, and he doesn't like salad, and you know, so that's a big struggle for a lot of women, that what they would like to do and what they practically can do in life is very different.
That's tough.
Poor women.
I know.
We're so hard on them.
It's not easy. So when did you get qualified as a nutritionist?
About 20 years ago.
About 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went away and started working as a nutritionist?
Yeah.
And then came back and started your teaching?
And taught
how long into your sort of career? What was that?
Quite soon, actually. quite soon. I can't remember exactly. But they needed somebody, and I'd always got on really well at the college with all the people who worked there, the managers and stuff. So
how old was you when you qualified?
That's a really good question. I can't remember. It was about 20 years ago. I would have been 37.
Yeah.
So around that time.
Yeah.
So I had two relatively small children at that point. I think they were like 8 and 6 or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you'd left when you had them. I guess you left nursing.
Yeah.
And then you decided that you didn't want to go back to nursing.
I did go back to nursing part-time, yeah. So, but I was in research. I did nursing research,
Wow.
so I was quite autonomous in what I could do. I wasn't working shifts and that kind of thing.
Okay,
so, so that was good. But then I got fed up of, I didn't have the motivation, having small children, to go for my own funding all the time, which it came about doing. So so I gave that up and thought, I'm going to go with what I've always really been interested in and really
for sure.
Passionate about is food. Generally, I like eating food. I like thinking about food. I like I love knowing what food does to you. And the incredible effects that different foods can have on different people as well. And you know, when people see it as such a calories, you know, calories in, calories out, and food is just so much more than that. It's just incredible when you start learning all the things it can do.
Well, that's a rabbit hole we can go into.
Yeah.
Just before we do, just thinking of the timelines. Go back to sort of when you started teaching and sort of how you found that, and you know, did you enjoy it? And you know,
I did. I loved it actually. I really loved. That was the best part of it, because the college turned out to there's politics everywhere you work, isn't there, and that was all quite political, but the work with the students and seeing students, we used to get students from every walk of life. So my best example has always been that there was one guy who was a bomb disposal expert.
Wow.
And he came and wanted to be a nutritionist. So you can imagine trying to hone what skills he had. Because they're all adults. They've all got life experience. And helping people use their own life experience to that date. And moulding it into what they need to be a nutritionist.
I suppose that guy is. He's a problem solver, I suppose, with his job. He's got to figure out where, you know, how to dispose a bomb.
How to get rid of that bomb.
Exactly. Without blowing himself up and everybody else. Which is sort of, it does link to, you know, like life and people's diets and nutrition, because it's a problem that needs to be solved, like figuring out where the weakness or the sort of the habits are, and then working back and trying to figure out a way forward.
The challenge with many of them, and I suppose like him, was that he was in no way used to having any kind of therapeutic interaction with people. So my real thing that I really loved was trying to help them appreciate how a good nutritional consultation should be if you want it to be therapeutic. What's the top thing you should be thinking about in terms of the therapeutic approach when working with somebody? Listening.
So listening. Okay. And then what?
Well, I suppose you'd qualify that with active listening, so making sure that they know that you're listening to actually what they're saying. And
that allows them to, I guess, you know, relax and probably open up a bit more. Which is why then you end up with people crying. But that's fine. Sure. That's fine. And then helping people, because I think now with all the information that is out there, and even then there were things you could read, not so much social media, but people kind of half knew what they could be or should be doing, but hadn't got the confidence to apply that to their own lives. So my sort of I just used to put it that you need to know what to do when you go out of here. What are you going to have for breakfast in the morning? Not here's a load of information and figure out how it applies to you. It was really practical steps.
Practical stuff, And also slowing people down, so not giving them too much information at once, which is, I do really struggle with that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is.
Yeah.
Especially when you're
'Cause
really
you wanna
passionate
help.
about something.
Yeah, you
want
wanna help,
to just
don't you?
tell them everything that you know.
Yeah, but it's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
if
some
you
people
Go on.
No, some people can take it and you know, they'll be fine. They'll get on with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I probably struggle with, is, you know, doing too much and giving myself too much and taking on too much, and then that leads to overwhelm.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, there'll be lots of people like that.
Yeah.
Which it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of the time it is about personalities, and how people are wired, which will help you know, figure out what the likely habits and struggles are with,
and how much you can give them at once, and that kind of thing. It's funny though that you say that even you struggle with that, like bringing things on yourself and, and entering that overwhelm. So it's funny that then we would both still struggle with giving people too much information, even knowing that could happen.
I'm probably more on the conservative side of that, so I'm really conscious of that, so I probably don't sometimes give people enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You don't know until you try, right?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you can give somebody, you know.
If they come back.
Yeah, if they come back. Speaking about before we started the podcast, about my mentors and coaches that I've listened to, in general, they'll always say, you know, when you're writing a training program, even when you're done and you give it to the person, it's never going to be perfect. You know, it'll always take some adjusting and refining, because until you work with that person, you don't know. And you know, I guess the consultation gives you a good idea, and you should be asking lots of questions and listening and actively listening.
Yeah.
So you do get an idea there, but like you said, some people are very closed. So until they relax and get used to you and trust you, then that's when they'll start opening up, and you can make adaptations and changes. So going back to that's probably a good area. So when you first started working, was it as a nutritionist? Was it that you? What was the thing that you struggled with most? Was it that?
Taking people's money.
Okay, yeah.
And giving them too much information. So taking people's money.
And do you think they were linked?
Yeah. That's a really good point, that I felt I needed to give them as much as I possibly could in order to make me value for money. Yeah.
Interesting. And has that changed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said that really quickly. Sounds like I'm really, really keen to get people's money now. And I don't mean that. But I've come to terms with the fact that, or I've mostly come to terms. Sometimes I do. I still really genuinely have thoughts about, God, what I'm telling you is what value of that is that to you?
Yeah.
Or surely you know that already, because you can get all this information on social media, etc. now. Why do I think that I can charge you for what I'm helping you with? But I do know rationally that that's absolutely not the case, and in fact, you know, 20 years of experience can't count for nothing. And hopefully I actually am giving people a lot of value for what I do, or with what I do.
I think you're right. I think the information's there, but it's applying the information, which is the hard part, and the part that people struggle with, and you know, and they get so much information and they read, and that's great, and we've all done it. I've done it, and I'm sure you've, you know, gone away and done loads of research and learning, and then you think, well, shit, how am I going to apply all this? Like, where does that come into play? So I think the experience and doing it, and working with different people, and working with yourself and understanding that makes a big difference. So what would you say you struggle with most now in terms of like your work and working with people?
I don't know. I've not really thought about that. I don't. I
Or what-
suppose part of the answer is I'm not pushing. I don't work full time,
Mhm.
and I'm in a very lucky situation where I can work as and when I want to work. So I not being desperate. That's not the right word, but not being really chasing work. Then I suppose struggles are fewer because what I get is just great. And
So I mean, I'll rephrase that into looking at the industry as a whole. And maybe other nutritionists that you know who maybe are younger.
How rude.
Is that rude?
No.
Is that bad?
No, I'm only joking, honestly.
Wow. So now you've been called my mum,
yeah,
and now I'm just...
I was just picking up on that theme,
yeah,
honestly.
but what I mean is, I can't get out, I'm digging myself a hole. But what would you say most nutritionists like struggle with, in terms of working with people?
I would guess, partly through my own experience, but I suppose a lot through my teaching experience, is it's very easy to give people information and it not necessarily be the right information because you haven't quite listened or you haven't quite got a sense of what they really, really want, or they haven't given you a true sense of what they really, really want.
Right,
maybe, or really need. So
do you think people don't ask enough questions, going into the the therapeutic side of things and digging deeper? Do people do nutritionists generally stay back and just give them the general idea of what they need rather than going into depths about that individual person? You know what I mean? Yeah,
I think there's two answers to that. I think first of all, there are lots of different types of nutritionists, I would say. And I don't mean as in what you specialise in. I mean especially now, there's a lot of nutritionists who are very test oriented. So they do every test under the sun, and that's absolutely fine because, again, some clients really like to have data in front of them.
God, like what? Like off the top of my head, I couldn't think of any tests.
Like blood tests,
right?
Like
okay.
Genetic tests.
All right. Okay.
Like there are so many tests now you can have that would really help with really digging into the real personalisation of what you're giving them. Yeah. So you can find out people's genetic profile, you can find out their gut profile, blood tests, hormone profiles, all of those things.
What are your thoughts on those?
I'm not in that camp.
Yeah.
And I never have been in that camp.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't think they're valuable.
Yeah.
But I think that very often what is more valuable is that therapeutic relationship and finding out what they're going to have for breakfast tomorrow rather than a set of data. But having said that, I do appreciate there are some clients who really love to have all of that. Yeah. And I'm going to really generalise and say probably men more. Yeah, no, more so. On the point we were talking about earlier. Yeah, really like that data. Yeah. But I think a lot of... So my best example used to be people have very often heard of a food intolerance test. So you can have a finger prick blood test that tests for alleged intolerances to loads and loads of different foods and drinks. And then in theory you then base your nutritional advice around those reported intolerances. Yeah. But there is another school of thought that says actually that signify if you had one of those and it came up with 5 different foods. Yeah. I hope nobody's going to literally challenge me on the science here, but this is how I've always interpreted the science, and I'm quite happy with that, is that those 5 foods aren't necessarily the problem. It's the fact that there's something wrong or there's something not perfect about your gut at that time, so your gut lining. And that's allowing those food particles to become an issue to your body when they wouldn't if your gut was working really well. Okay. So the answer with that list of 5 things is to address your gut health, but the answer without that test is still to address your gut health, and you're probably going to do exactly the same things as you would do with the result, but you've spent £250-300 on that test first of all, and you're just going to end up being suggested that you do the same things. So that's always been my feeling generally
No,
about
I know what you
testing?
mean, and it becomes a sort of a trend, doesn't it? Like the Zoe thing. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people did that because maybe they saw somebody else doing that,
Yeah.
and they saw it on social media because he's, you know, quite big on social media. You know, and there's lots of great information that he puts out, and I'm sure having that stuff for some people is probably reassuring and sort of lets them get on with their life. I think for a lot, for a lot of people, it's that case of like, I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's it, and you can't really change their mind. But
Yeah.
your idea of, you know, and it's the same way I coach really. You know, having a full body approach where you're training everything in the session rather than digging into the fine details and just doing, you know, your chest or your back. So yeah, I mean, that's a complex sort of area as well, your gut and that how that affects everything. Yeah.
There's like a lot of the science, this is a lay interpretation though of what the science is generally saying, is that most things start in the gut. Most health issues start in the gut. Yeah. Even really long-term chronic illness can start in the gut.
Okay.
Because once you've got a problem with your gut, you start setting up the inflammatory process, and it's long-term low-grade inflammation that is behind diabetes, some cancers, heart disease, dementia, all of those things. So I'm not sat here saying if you've got a bad gut you're going to get dementia, but there are definite links with poor gut health, which is why gut health is so important, which is why the Zoe thing, whilst there are aspects of that I think are really not quite right, they do get a lot of slating amongst my profession because they're now selling things. Yeah. Well, I mean, they were selling the original kits and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know if you know this or anybody knows this, that in fairness, research around nutrition has always been really lacking, which is why it's so difficult to say, and has been more so than now. It's really difficult to make categoric claims about certain things, about certain foods or ways of eating or diets or anything, because there's so little research. And there's so little research because research is really, really hard to do because you can't control for things. So unless you take two groups of people and you put them away shut them in a room and make sure that you know exactly what they're eating and drinking every second of the day, it's very hard to make very categoric claims about what a food has done and hasn't done.
Yeah, there's loads of other factors.
Yeah, exactly. So, and people, in the nicest possible way, people lie, overestimate all those things. So
like the surveys and other research studies will probably be off because of human judgment
and therefore it's never been viewed as valid as the kind of research that you get for medical things and like medicines and stuff. So on that basis, people then can't get funding to do nutritional research because people are putting their hand up and going, well, yeah, you can have money for that, but actually it's not going to be a very good study because they might be lying in their recall or whatever. Food recall. So Zoe come along and they go, we want to do a massive, massive study, and the only way we can see to do this is to actually charge people for the test that we then get the results of. So they've got millions and millions of people, well, maybe not millions, they've got thousands and thousands of people's results that they can then base research findings on, but the people have had to pay to go into it. So I can absolutely see why that's the case, that people have had to pay, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But that's what people very often slag off about the Zoe project, is that, well, you have to pay for your tests and stuff. Well, yeah, because there's nobody who could afford to do a study that big and pay for everybody to be in it. So I'm all for Zoe until they start selling their 30 plants pack thing in all the supermarkets, but that's another story.
It's marketing for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting, and I suppose it's moving things forward in a way rather than staying stagnant. looking back, I'm sure in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I think it might be a step in the right direction, because you said the gut's plays such an important role in everything.
Yeah.
And how we age and our health.
Yeah.
Going back to the gut, because it is plays such a key role, obviously keeping it healthy is super important. So I don't know, give me the top 3 or 5 putting you on the spot here, but foods that you should be eating, and then maybe 3 or 5 that are a big no-no.
Okay. So in terms of let's do top 3s.
Top 3, that's fine.
Keep it brief. So the top 3 foods that are really helpful for a healthy gut are foods that contain live bacteria. So in other words, probiotic foods. So not probiotic capsules, probiotic foods, which are things like yogurt, live yogurt, as long as it says
live cultures.
Live cultures on it.
Like the kefir.
Yeah, well, kefir is a fermented milk, so similar to yogurt, but kefir's even kind of better than yogurt in some ways, because it's got more, generally, if you get a really good one, it's got more bacteria in it than yogurt. So yogurt, kefir, and then fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, those kind of things, which can sometimes sound like very odd foods that people don't generally get, but actually you can get them in most supermarkets.
For sure,
now. And you just need a little tip on how to use them and when you would get them in your diet.
Yeah. Oh God, we can dive into that.
Yeah.
I mean the kefir is interesting. I did think it was a yogurt, but fermented milk. Yeah, I can see it's quite liquidy. Yeah, rather than yogurty. Yeah. So,
and you can get different kefirs, by the way. So if you, for instance, got a dairy intolerance or allergy, then you can get water kefirs, or you can get kefirs based on coconut milk, other milks. It doesn't have to be cow's dairy.
Interesting. What's the best kefir?
Brand-wise.
Brand, yeah.
There's one I always recommend. It's the one I use. I mean, the best thing actually is to make it yourself, because it's really, really simple.
Simple, yeah.
So you just get a little starter kit, a bit like making sourdough bread. You just get a little starter kit of grains. They're actually called kefir grains. And they look like big frog spawn. And you just use that and put that into whatever medium you want. So it could be your milk, or it could be water, or whatever. And this is a really, really rough explanation, but you leave it at room temperature just to grow bugs. And then drink it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, you drink the bugs?
You'd strain it and then save that.
And it becomes what?
Starter.
If it was with water, it would just be like a cloudy, liquidy sort of thing.
Yeah, I've never tried water kefir, and I've never made.
You've never made it yourself?
Kefir, and I haven't ever made kefir. No. So I often threaten that I will do to myself, but I never do.
Why not? Yeah, try it. What brand do you usually go for?
I use a brand called Bio Beautiful, which is so it's green. It's in most of the supermarkets. It's green and white. And you can get flavoured ones, but like with anything, you start having flavours and they use sweeteners and stuff in there. And that actually links very succinctly with things to avoid for gut health. Good gut health. Sweeteners are one of the things that are thought to disrupt. So, and when we say sweeteners, as in using them every day, a bit of a sweetener every now and again in a diet drink as opposed to a full sugar drink is absolutely not a problem. But if you're consistently using sweeteners and emulsifiers, those kind of things, they're being shown to have a detrimental effect on the gut. And that's that we're basically talking about the gut bacteria that they have an effect on. So you want as many bacteria as you can, as many of the beneficial bacteria and as few as possible of the less beneficial or pathogenic bacteria that we've got just in a big mix all the time.
So the sweeteners
will will contribute towards knocking out some of your good bacteria. And whereas the probiotic foods will help feed that good balance of bacteria.
So what are the other two that are, would you say that are...
good foods.
It don't have to be two, but
good foods for your gut.
Well, we said, so we were sauerkraut, kefir, and did you mention one other?
Miso is one, which
is what?
It's like a fermented soybean paste, I think.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, you might have to correct me on that one.
No, you might be right.
You can buy it quite easily now. You can buy light or dark miso. And that's... I use that instead of, if you'd use stock in something, like making a gravy or... I use it in there.
Oh, really?
Because it's got that really lovely umami, savoury flavour. So it's even better than normal gravy stock and stuff.
That's a really easy way to get it in. And I suppose you probably don't taste it much, do you? I suppose you will taste it.
It's a really lovely flavour.
Oh, so it's a nice... Okay.
Yeah, so you can make...
When you say fermented, everybody will be like, fermented. And
I'm sure... It's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't take it off the spoon.
That's what I mean. If you're like spreading it on something, or you just having it off.
No, I don't think that would be possible. But it's really nice in sauces and gravies, and you can stick it in some salad dressings, and that again, it just gives that really lovely savoury flavour.
Nice. Okay.
And it's really good for your gut.
The sauerkraut and the kimchi, that's an interesting one. And you were sort of going on to talk about where they can be included. Where would you generally put those things in your diet? Is it mixed in with other things? Because that's probably where I would put it, mixed in with other things, whether it's in a salad or...
Absolutely. In a sandwich, like kimchi can give a sandwich a really lovely crunch.
Yeah. And it's quite a strong flavour.
Yeah.
Tangy sort of soury flavour.
Yeah. And if you don't like, again, with all of these things, making your own, well, not all of them, you couldn't make your own miso, but with the fermented vegetables, like the kimchi and the sauerkraut, making your own is ideal. But if you can't be bothered with the faff, there's actually quite a lot now coming out they're not processed. If you go buy sauerkraut from the shelf, it's not even in the fridge, so it's not going to be doing you much good. Whereas now you can get some chilled, kind of as close to homemade as you're ever going to get by buying something.
That's sauerkraut and
kimchi. And there are different ones.
So you're saying it's better to be that it's chilled?
Yeah.
So the ones that you get off the shelf?
The ones that you get on the supermarket shelves, like in a jar.
Yeah. No,
are worthless in terms of gut health. Have you been doing it wrong?
I don't know. It's the brand. I think it's organic something or other.
Yeah.
But it's off the shelf. It's just like in a jar.
Yeah. Because anything that's in a jar has gone through a processing plant.
Right. Yeah.
So that's going to be its first disadvantage because by definition it's going to have had the bugs eradicated in order to be able to sit on a shelf, not in the fridge.
Okay.
But there's
makes sense,
and I can give you the brands of just some really nice ones they're not homemade, but they are in the chiller and they don't last for ages at home.
Okay, interesting. I'm sure I can have a look, and I'm sure people can have a look. Cool. Yeah, that's again the gut. It's massive. Did we go on to the bad thing? Yeah, we said the sweeteners.
Yeah.
Emulsifiers, I guess.
Yeah.
What else is
sugar?
Sugar in general.
In theory, yeah. Sugar, not in theory. In general, sugar. If you have a really high sugar diet, sugar tends to encourage the less beneficial bacteria to thrive, as opposed to the more beneficial bacteria. So. You're generally going to get a bit of an imbalance. Yeah. And once you set up that kind of technically known as dysbiosis, so you've got an imbalance of the bacteria that should be there, and just to say as well, you've got a completely different bacterial profile to me and to everybody else.
Me individually, not just me male.
Yeah, no, you male as well, but you
so
individually.
That makes a difference.
Yeah. And one of the really, I find things like this fascinating, but one of the fascinating things about menopause is women have a different profile throughout their reproductive life, bacterial profile, from men. But during menopause, it changes. Our bacterial balance changes, and we actually become far more. We begin to get a profile far more like men.
Yeah.
Which partly goes along with how we begin to resemble men body composition wise.
Right. Okay.
So we get thick around the middle.
Yeah. Is that the same for men? Do men start to change? Closer to women in that?
No.
Okay, so no. It's just the women.
It's just the women who lose, because part of what your gut bacteria do is help you process hormones. So when you no longer have a certain level of hormone, your gut's not required to do that job anymore. So you kind of lose those hormone packaging. Bacteria. Yeah. And so therefore we just begin to resemble more of a male gut profile.
Yeah, makes sense.
But men are very lucky because aging generally, you just have this really lovely, gentle, linear decline in the nicest possible way. Whereas women, they suddenly go off a cliff.
Yeah.
And everything really, really changes dramatically.
Yeah.
And then we kind of maybe get a bit more level later on, but there's a lot of changes that we really need to offset, otherwise we can end up sicker quicker than you. That's why we suddenly catch up with you in terms of heart disease risk and that kind of thing. So
okay, I think it's time to go into details about the menopause and all that stuff, because you've just touched on it. So obviously you recently did a workshop in the gym. With a small group of ladies looking to get some knowledge and find out how they can improve their diet and nutrition in order to help the symptoms of the menopause, and just generally understand the menopause and the side of the hormones and sort of how to mitigate the symptoms and stuff. So I mean, you said at the start, more recently you started working with women that are sort of in that age category. So I mean, what is it just always been an interest, or why did you go sort of into that? Why did you want to sort of focus in on that?
I suppose just because it was what resonated with me particularly. So experiencing a lot of the changes. I'm now 57, so I've been through that, had all the problems to deal with, although I didn't have it that badly, but I've come across a lot of women who have or who are doing so, and knowing how, from the research that I've got myself familiar with, knowing how much of the menopause or the problems associated with the menopause transition can be mitigated by things that you're doing lifestyle wise, so diet and lifestyle. So sort of the 4 pillars of health, sleep, diet, exercise and relaxation, and just knowing how important they are, just wanting to get that knowledge across to other people. And I think as well, as I've become more aware of, again, just through my own experience of what's available out there online generally, in all the social media, where you just get bombarded by stuff. And I was just listening to a podcast actually at the weekend, interestingly, about AI and how our individual, I thought this was really interesting, that our individual realities are becoming so separate from each other, because you just get targeted on your phone with things that are for you, allegedly, and every time you linger or click on something, you just get more and more
it's
and more
becoming
more
individualised.
So knowing, I can see that when I go on my feed, there's everything that I'm interested in on there, but unfortunately that can take people down quite harmful paths, can't it? But anyway, that's another issue. So trying to help people navigate what's out there in social media as well.
Big.
In the menopause, we get flogged everything all the time, from what to put on our face to what we should be eating, what kind of exercise we should be doing. I'm sure you get that where, you know, the menopausal women are now being told they shouldn't do zone 2 cardio because it'll make them fat.
Oh God, really?
So yeah, trying to just help people see through all of that noise out there. And
it's tough for sure. I liked the 4 pillars thing. That's really interesting. And obviously, I think we'll go into the social media because we had a few points that we wanted to make. We'll do that sort of towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, go through the 4 pillars. So it was nutrition, diet, activity, exercise,
and then relaxation.
I suppose that links to sort of like stress and that sort of category.
Absolutely.
So yeah, sleep. I mean, my mum talks about this. I mean, I talk about this with my mum all the time. And she wakes up really early.
Yeah.
You know, she goes to work early, and you know, I'm always worried that she's not getting enough sleep, and what impact that's making on her and her health.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's the deal with the sleep? Is it that it just gets to a point where you can't sleep more, you just wake up? Is that the most sort of common thing? Because that's probably what I get with a lot of clients as well. They'll say to me, and men as well, you know, it'll be the same. They'll wake up early and they can't really get back to sleep for whatever reason.
So, as briefly as possible, I think there's several areas that could be the problem or could be contributing to that issue. For women, there's the alteration in their hormones. So, progesterone, one of our main hormones, the way that falls through perimenopause and menopause and beyond, progesterone is involved in relaxation and sleep induction. So the less we've got of that, the harder we find it to fall asleep and stay asleep. The other thing that could be going on, and this applies to the men as well, is that if your circadian rhythms, so in other words, how your body is going on its 24-ish hour cycle, as compared to or as meshed with light and day, if that's out of sync, then you can find that your body's not wanting to sleep when it should be, because you haven't reset your circadian rhythm each day as we're kind of needing to do. So getting good sunlight early in the morning, as early as you can, and direct sunlight, it is one of the things that starts to entrain your body for that day's circadian rhythm. So many people don't do that. You know, so many people get up, especially in the winter, you get up in the semi-dark, go to work in the semi-dark, work in a place that's artificially lit, go home and it's dark and then you go to bed. And also our use of lights and our use of blue lights. So how many people do you know, maybe yourself included, where you have your blue light just before you go to bed?
Your screen, your phone.
Your screen, whatever it is. I mean, technically even the television falls into that as well. And even lights.
Like spotlights and, certain spotlights, I suppose.
So they actually...
And light bulbs.
The sort of bright light
bulbs. There's a certain type of bulb that you can get, I forgot the name, which is meant to not contain that type of light. I can't remember the name of it.
No, but I think I know what you mean, but I can't remember the name either.
Yeah, there is. Anyway, so
even just dimming the lights in your sitting room.
It's meant to mimic the sort of sunset.
Exactly.
And help you.
Because otherwise it interferes with your melatonin, which is your hormone that induces sleep and keeps you asleep through the whole night as well. So it might, for some people, it can be as simple as dimming the lights and stopping screen time a couple of hours before they go to bed. And that can bring back their natural melatonin production and help them sleep better through the night. So.
That's hard. And I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, I mean, I think the reason we use screens and TV is a form of relaxation. You know what I mean? So you're trying to relax, which is important, and we should all have time for that. But then at the same time, we usually try relax on an evening after work, I suppose, after you've had your dinner. And then that leads to, you know, whether it's staying up later because you want to watch that TV show program, and then just not being able to settle down. You know, a lot of people say, or men in particular watch sport,
Yeah.
they'll have the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And if you're watching sport at night, then it's like you try to go to bed 10 minutes after that, no
Yeah,
chance
you
you
got no-
need
exactly.
time to settle
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and that's so hard to balance.
It is.
You know, having the right amount of screen time so that you can still get to sleep and have a good night's sleep. And that's another point of having a good night's sleep, good quality sleep, rather than just sleeping.
Yeah.
And that relates to another sort of question I have around, I mean, it is diet in a way, but the effect that alcohol has on your sleep.
Yeah.
And how, again, people use that as sort of
medication.
Yeah, or to relax, and
yeah,
you know, that affects your sleep. So
yeah.
where you at with that in terms of, you know, there's the whole thing of having a glass of wine with your dinner or whatever. You know, where you at with that? Are you more on the side of try just maybe not have it, or you can still have it but have it early, or just weekends? Like, what do you generally sort of advise?
I think this is a really good example to bring up the fact that any of these points, they're so nuanced with for different people.
For
so
sure. But I think in general the alcohol thing, you know, from doing my own consultations with people in the gym, I think probably less now. I think more people will generally just maybe have a drink on a weekend or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, rather than through the week. But, you know, still some people maybe have a drink through the week.
Yeah. Well, as far as what the science is saying about alcohol, first of all, some of the what's the right word I'm looking at, the strictest, if you like, they're saying that there's no safe limit of alcohol, and that alcohol will undoubtedly mess with your sleep architecture. So you should be going through various stages of sleep at certain times of the night, and 100% having any alcohol will interfere with that architecture. And interestingly, if I can make it personal for a minute, I got a Whoop. And I can see categorically that when I have a drink, my sleep pattern is different to when I don't have a drink, and that's even having one glass of wine.
Yeah, wow.
So I think, again, it's so individual. You know, some people live for a nice meal and a glass of wine every night.
Yeah.
And if so, then if it's stopping them sleeping, then maybe they should think about it. But if it's not, you know, we're supposed to enjoy life, aren't we?
For sure, yeah. I know.
So do that. If that's that, if that doesn't interfere with your life, then do that.
For sure,
but,
I think the being less stressed is probably better than, you know, restricting yourself, being stressed at work and not having anything to relax with. So I think you're right.
I suppose people would argue you find another way of relaxing. There are a lot of again, back to social media, a lot of things available, I understand, on there. You know, there's all the sort of nootropic drinks and supplements that you can use, non-alcoholic drinks that are herbal based, that actually can give you a similar kind of relaxed feeling.
I mean, even like
alcohol can.
like CBD. I mean, you know, it's a topic that's very controversial. But I think, I mean, looking at places like the US, I think it's probably more relaxed over there, especially with their rules on marijuana and things like that. So, but yeah, I think there's a benefit to that. My sort of thoughts with the alcohol thing, I think, and maybe this is just a few times I've heard it, but I think people feel like the alcohol helps them go to sleep better, which I think is a bit of a misconception, because alcohol's more of a sedative in a way, which
just knocks you out.
It knocks you out. But that's what they say. They say it knocks me out. Which it does. But then are you getting proper sleep? Then probably not. You're not in that architecture, that sleep architecture that you said.
I'm going to be really honest
and
say I've actually been in that situation. So about 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, I was obviously in perimenopause, and I just used to find, unless I'd had a couple of glasses of wine, I really struggled to fall asleep, and I just would do it night after night. And I came to see John at the gym, and I remember him asking me, knowing that I was a nutritionist, and him asking me about alcohol, probably expecting occasionally on a weekend. And I said, no, pretty much every night really, to help me fall asleep. And he was very polite, and he said, well, maybe you could find something different to help you sleep. But actually, I obviously tried to moderate that. But what helped me in the end was having HRT. And now I can see very clearly what alcohol does to me. Couldn't see it then. I didn't have a whoop, so I knew it probably wasn't the best thing in the world.
But you didn't know for sure.
I didn't have the evidence.
So
I've been there. No nutritionist, I hope, would ever say they've got a perfect diet or lifestyle.
We're not perfect, are we? So, there was something else I wanted to ask them, but it's gone over my head. Sleep's big in it. So
in terms of your mum, it might be hormones, it might be a circadian rhythm.
Probably the thing. I mean, I think she's mentioned to me, I hope she don't mind because she'll be listening to this. But she said to me that she's used HRT, and she said I don't want to use it anymore. Like I feel like I've used it a lot. I don't know how many years probably she's used it, but I don't think she wants to use it anymore. But I think now she's seeing that she's getting some symptoms back, which I don't know what your thoughts are on HRT. Well, you've used it obviously, so what are your thoughts on it, and should people be on it like as long as I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Like, is it just forever? So it's just
obviously I have to say I'm not a qualified medical person, so I can't advise people about HRT personally, but I think that, well, I know for a fact that the research that the old HRT guidelines were based on was done about 20 years ago, and the findings were flawed, and the findings have been very definitely shown to be flawed. They were using different forms of HRT than are prescribed now.
Really?
They were on a very different age group, and they were on so they were used on a different population. It was still women, but they were women much further on in their menopause journey. So the results were generalised, and people ran with the results to say, oh my God, we shouldn't be on it for more than a couple of years. If you've got anything to do with breast cancer in the family or any history of it, you can't go anywhere near any HRT, and that both of those things have been shown to be false. Definitely. Obviously, you have to discuss your own personal situation with your own doctor or menopause specialist. And there are quite a few of those set up now. You can ask to be referred to one from your GP. But generally, HRT is safe for far more people than was thought before. You can take it until the day you die, if that's what you choose to do.
No, for sure.
And they're also using testosterone as well. That's more available than it used to be. Because that's another hormone that we have in abundance. But we lose it at menopause. So if you're replacing estrogen and progesterone, why aren't you replacing testosterone as well? So.
Is that the same for men in terms of the testosterone? Is that available for men that are getting? Well, I think it's after 25, is it, that you testosterone
begin to decline?
I think it was. I don't know exactly, but I think it's quite early. And
again, that can be that's sort of not that's not generalisable. That will be very different for different men.
So it could just.
But I don't know actually how ready they are in this country to prescribe testosterone for men.
And I think just hearing from social media or online, I think probably in America it's probably more available. So very interesting.
I would say to your mum, I would say go back and discuss it with a menopause specialist, because again, bringing it back slightly personal, part of the reason I started HRT, and I'm happy to continue on it thus far, is that it's not just about the symptoms now. So you've said your mum's re-experienced some symptoms because of stopping HRT. It's not just the symptoms now, it's the long-term health consequences that I mentioned earlier. So things like cardiovascular disease, dementia, osteoporosis, all of those kind of diseases of old age that we become more prone to once we lose our hormones. Why not protect yourself against those?
For sure, yeah.
I know it's debatable, but if you were diabetic, you'd be given the or actually diabetes is a bad example because not everybody needs insulin, but thyroid, underactive thyroid. If you have an underactive thyroid, you generally get given some thyroid hormone to replace it forever. So I know there's differences with sex hormones, but it's the same principle. You're just replacing what was there before. You're not giving yourself anything extra. You're just topping up the levels that have been reduced.
Very interesting. Okay, so that's sleep touched on. I mean, there's so much to each of these categories, isn't there?
Could do a whole podcast on that.
Exactly. That's the idea.
Actually, if anybody's really interested in sleep,
go on.
There's a guy called Steve Walker. Matthew Walker. Yeah, Why We Sleep, his book. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great book.
A fantastic book, and he's done a series of podcasts. I think there were about 6 or 7 with Huberman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever listened to the Huberman Lab podcast.
Yeah.
He did a series of about 7, and you know what Huberman is like? They're each about 2.5 hours.
So in depth,
So I think I've listened to all of those with Matthew Walker.
Yeah.
They're quite good friends, the two of them, so it's quite an interesting podcast.
And he's from the UK, and he's from Liverpool, or maybe around there. I don't know.
I don't know where he's from exactly, but definitely England.
Cool. So sleep. What did we say next? Was it exercise or activity, or was there something? Diet, nutrition, but we've sort of touched on that. What I mean, we could link the two. So diet and exercise or activity. I know that's a real passion for you, and that's obviously how we met in the gym. What's your thoughts with nutrition relating to exercise, in particular for women menopausal women?
I think we've grown up in a society where we were very much encouraged to be skinny, and the skinnier you were, the better it was. Toned
is the word.
So you shouldn't ever pick anything up that was heavier than 2 kilograms, and
because that might injure you. And you might get bulky as well. Yeah, the bulky.
So, like, if only you could get bulky on 2 kilograms. So that's been very much our background, and I think a lot of women. I just had a conversation with a friend this morning, who again may end up listening to this, so I hope she doesn't mind me saying. But she does ultra endurance things now, but she's always had in the back of her mind that she's doing exercise kind of for the benefit of exercise, but it's also with the ultimate aim of being skinny. So trying to help women see that that's not why we need or ought to be exercising, and let's reframe all of that. Let's not be looking at how much we weigh, but let's look at how strong we are, how fast we can run, or how high we can jump. There's all these things that are going to protect us from frailty later. For sure. And understanding why you need to do those things, and then how to fuel for them. So again, because we've always thought we've got to be skinny, we've always gone on calories and I need to lose a few pounds, I'll cut the calories. But actually that's the wrong thing to be doing at our age as well, because of the whole way that interacts with our hormones now. It actually produces the opposite effect. So reducing your calories and effectively telling your brain that you're starving sets everything else off wrong. It sets your thyroid off wrong. It raises your stress hormones. So what you then do is hang on to food and fuel because your body thinks it's in a starvation state. So you probably end up gathering weight, especially around your middle, because you do that in the menopause, rather than the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So trying to get that understanding what's going on is really important, and then trying to work with that as opposed to against it.
Yeah, I think my question would be, how important is exercise because obviously, you know, a lot of people will come to me, a lot of women going through the menopause or perimenopause, they'll want to lose weight in that area, around the stomach, which is fine, and that's good. So how important is exercise versus what they're doing with their diet? Like, is it a 50-50 split? Like, they should be looking at, you know, nutrition and activity or exercise, and strength training or whatever.
Yeah, because I'd say you can't outsmart a bad diet.
Yeah. So the diet's probably more important.
Yeah, because probably nothing that you're going to do in the gym is going to override if you're eating the wrong foods and eating way too much.
Yeah, but let's say, okay, so let's say this lady, for example, did improve her diet and was eating whole foods and, you know, nutritious meals, but still wasn't exercising or, you know, going to the gym and strength training.
Yeah.
What's the situation there? Is it that they'd still gain weight? Because at the end of the day, I know, you know, you don't like to think of it like this, but, you know, they're eating food, so they're gonna, if they don't, let's say, burn that food off, we can say, then what's going to happen? It might be stored.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could be stored, you know, as fat. So what, you know, what's your thoughts on that? Is it key that they are training?
It's key that they're moving. Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like a weight training, in your opinion.
I would say if they're only going to do an hour's exercise, so if you can only persuade them to move for an hour a week, then they probably. That's a really tough question.
It's a tough question. Yeah.
Can they have 2 hours?
No. Let's
2 hours a week.
Yeah. I'm just. You know, we sort of know the answer. I mean, it is important to be active.
Yeah.
You know, and I suppose my question is it important to, and you know, this is my field, I get, but it's interesting to hear your thoughts. But how important is the gym, like strength training? Because it does have a different effect. Than, you know, your typical sort of cardio. You know, exercise.
Yeah, definitely.
So would you really push for, you know, these women to be strength training, or is it like, right, if you know, choose what exercise you want to do, it doesn't matter as long as you're doing an hour in the gym?
I'd push for some strength training then.
If
that's the case. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, we're talking about it in terms of weight management, you've said.
Yeah.
But actually,
and I know
surely they have to take it a bit wider than that, and it's not purely about weight, it's about their health in general. And their health in general going forward has to include strengthening ourselves against becoming that frail old woman who can't get out of the chair.
Yeah, and I agree. It's just, again, it comes down to their mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you the questions that they asked me.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting to, and you know, I agree with what you're saying. It is about the strength as a whole, and being strong for aging.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, just losing weight.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that, or toning up.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on.
I mean, the mechanism of what you're doing there by strength training and how that's going to affect, like, belly fat deposition or visceral fat.
Yeah.
You know, you could be looking at that in more detail. But then also you could look in more detail at exactly what they're eating, because in some ways it might be almost irrelevant or less relevant what exercise they're doing. If they're eating in a way that is causing them to have huge blood sugar spikes and fluctuations, that's going to potentially result in them depositing fat, especially around the middle, because that's more what you do in menopause, more often throughout the day, every day. So you could say, forget the exercise for a minute, just let's concentrate on balancing your blood sugars, and the chances of you actually gaining weight might be reduced. So
and the symptoms of that are I guess tiredness and sort of the slumps of
Yeah.
energy and
Yeah.
you know, getting them cravings.
Yeah.
I suppose is that the
Definitely.
key
Yeah.
symptoms. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to touch on with exercise that I've missed? Can you think?
One thing I
training.
find really interesting, and strength training comes into that, is another one of the differences between men and women, that women, I'm sure you know this already, women are born with more slow twitch fibres, muscle fibres, and men tend to have more, or do have more fast twitch muscle fibres, which is partly why men are stronger than women, because you've got a stronger contraction in your muscle, and partly why women are particularly good at things like slower long distance running, because we've got the muscles that deal with that really well.
Yeah.
So as we get older, we start losing all of our muscle, but we particularly lose any of the fast twitch muscles that we did have as women. So that's what makes us weaker as we get older. And makes us more liable for falls and that kind of thing,
right,
and that inability to get out of a chair when you're 85.
Yeah.
So strength training is what helps us to either maintain or develop those fast twitch muscle fibres. So you know, whatever people's motivation, that can be a good motivation. I'm doing strength training to get my fast twitch muscles, to get more of them, so that I'm not as frail later in life. So.
Yeah, super important. And in particular, going into specifics about, you know, the training, the type of training, and the speed at which you train, can help develop those types of muscle fibres more.
Yeah. So like jump training, do you?
So jump training and you know, because we don't really jump day to day, do we?
No.
Unless we're really happy.
No. And even then,
but
I love doing a bit of box jumping in the gym. It's like, it's one of those things that's a bit childlike.
It is, but I mean, in a way, we need that.
Yeah.
You know, you look at children; they're always jumping about.
Yeah.
You know, and
jumping
what are
things.
children? They're young. They don't have pain.
Yeah.
You know, they're able to just move freely.
Yeah.
So that's what you sort of want, don't you? But yeah, even things like, you know, slowing exercises down, because think about sitting on a chair. I think in general you'll see older people, when they sit down, it'll be like they'll slowly go down, and then near to the bottom it'll just be like a slump.
A fall.
They don't have that. They don't have that control.
Yeah.
So working on things like that is super important as you get older. Yeah, I mean, relating sort of nutrition and exercise and strength training, and I guess it's probably a really sort of hot area at the minute, obviously with regards to marketing, but protein and the important role that plays.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I think we're going past that now, in that it's an obsession, like the low fat stuff was, and maybe still is a little bit, and the low sugar stuff that you'll see on loads of packaging, because people, you know, relate that to being healthier. And it's the protein now, you know, high protein. That's what you'll see. So yeah, it's all good, I suppose, in a way. But yeah, what are your thoughts on protein, and is it as important as everybody says it is?
I agree that it's become one of the fads recently, and everywhere you look, things have got high protein on the packaging, and people unfortunately assume therefore that it's healthy. So, you know, some of the protein bars you can buy might have 20 grams of protein in, but if you look, they've also got 20 grams of sugar, and they're also really heavily processed, so they're not actually healthy foods to eat, and you'd be better with a piece of chicken, but you can't always carry a piece of chicken around for straight after the gym. So but having said that, I think a lot of the fads, maybe low fat excluded, a lot of the fads have got a scientific background basis, and having enough protein actually is really important, particularly for us as menopausal women, because we are losing our muscle mass. So unless we've got enough of the raw materials to build muscle, which is from protein, then we're putting ourselves at an immediate disadvantage in terms of maintaining or building muscle. So getting enough, and by enough, we need
that was my next question.
we need to qualify. So if you look at like an NHS or government guideline, I think the recommendation, without getting technical, is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So that's really not a lot. My maths isn't brilliant, so don't ask me to do 0.8 of anything. But much easier, luckily, is what is more realistic is 2 grams of protein as a minimum, really, depending on how active you are and how much strength training you're doing. Is more like 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, so, which is really easy if you're like a 60 kilogram person.
Exactly.
You need 120 grams of protein.
So generally it'll be over the 100 grams. 120. Which
can then be quite intimidating for people, to know where to get that, so how much is in a piece of chicken, and how to spread it throughout the day and that kind of thing. But that understood, and I know you've got the information that I produced, and you're welcome to pass that on to anybody, is that I forgot my train of thought then about having enough protein. So you've worked out how you're going to get it. And the fact that it is going to have a knock-on positive effect to most things that we're trying to mitigate at this time of life. So muscle loss, degradation or loss. Maintaining all of your hormones as much. I mean, your hormones are going to fall naturally, but things like your neurotransmitters as well as your hormones, they've all got a base around you need proteins, or you need amino acids for building all of those things. So just keeping as many of those things optimized as we can
and available
is facilitated by eating enough protein. And it also has a knock on to blood sugar balance. So if you're not getting protein at each meal and snack, you're far more likely to be having big blood sugar excursions from the norm, because protein helps to balance any blood sugar raises that you're having. So it has an all-round, an all-reaching effect
for sure.
Eating enough protein.
I mean, just my thoughts on that, and the reason I say is it as important as everybody says is because, and we spoke about this before, but I think as humans nowadays, we eat a lot. You know what I mean? The normal is what, 2,200 to 2,500 calories. To some people that might not be a lot, but I think as a whole, as humans, we eat a lot. So that's why I am skeptical as to whether protein it's important, but do we need to eat as much as we do? And it doesn't have to be just protein. It could be the other macronutrients. So we probably eating too much carbs and fat, I suppose. Because people that maybe fast a lot, who don't eat a lot, they might eat one meal, might be a big meal, but they might not eat loads. Generally, I think from what I've seen, are generally leaner, healthier. They feel good. Everything's working, and generally probably don't get as much illness.
These are people that are fasting, therefore not eating masses of anything.
Not eating, every 4 hours, and just eating maybe once a day, or that sort of thing. So, that's just, I always look at that, and again, I haven't looked into the research or anything, but just from experience and speaking to people, even people that I know who are Muslim who fast during Ramadan. They always say that they feel better. You know what I mean? They might lose weight.
Feel lighter, not necessarily weight-wise, but just lighter.
Lighter.
They're not weighed down with food.
And the whole digestion process, and we don't realise because we do it every day. It's just part of the day-to-day, but
it's a real strain.
It's such a... you go back to when we were living in tribes, I suppose we didn't eat, as often.
No.
So I think we, it's just how we've adapted. So, I mean... Are we eating enough? Are we eating too much? That's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it depends where you go for that kind of information. Because I've heard people, particularly in America, say that most Americans are eating too much protein. But that's because they eat too much in general.
That's what I mean. So in America, it's 2,500. It'll be like, you're on a cut there, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it might be 3,000, probably so.
But to counter that, I've heard other things, but also my personal experiences. When you sit down with somebody and actually not actually counting everything, not weighing or any of that stuff with people's diets, but you start looking at what people do eat on a daily basis. Very often they don't get anywhere near, they don't even get the 0.8 grams of protein.
Less than 100 grams weight. Not a lot.
So if the government guidelines say that that's how much you need to not get sick,
like the bare
and people
minimum,
aren't even reaching that, or not on a regular basis, then I think I actually think it's nearer the truth to say we probably could do to eat more protein generally. For sure, protein. I agree with you on that. I think just as food as a whole. So the other, carbs, fats. I think probably we eat too much of. So
but
then
again,
it's down to the proportions on your plate, what your plate looks like. And unfortunately, if you think about a lot of people's diets, they do include a lot of foods that, when you analyse that plate, they are the majority carbs. So unfortunately, our Great British diet consists of many bowls of pasta, pizza, burgers, all of those kind of things. When you analyse the macronutrients in those, they're carb based with a sprinkling of protein, especially pasta. Very often it's just sprinkling of protein. So that's not a great thing to choose. But then you think, and this is where, again, I think this is really interesting, but I know that's a bit geeky, but when you start looking at other nationalities' diets, so why is that okay for Italians to eat pasta for most of their meals, pasta and pizza? They're not all obese, they haven't all got bad body composition.
No, they look great.
They're not all unhealthy. They don't all die before we do.
No,
because they're eating all that carb. But then you get into the details of what else they eat, and the way they eat, and the way they eat socially, and the way they have a salad as a starter. So all of those things contribute to, actually, it's not the same as plonking a pizza and a pasta into a Western diet or an English diet, British diet. Every so often throughout the week. So all of those things, the way people eat throughout the world is just fascinating.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And yet there aren't that many variations in how people, how long people live, for instance. Obviously there's differences in different main health main diseases in different countries, and that's interesting in itself. But like, have you heard of the blue zones?
I was about to bring that up. I think there's a show. I don't know if it was on TV or on YouTube. I probably saw it. A guy travelling to all the different blue zones.
Dan
there you go.
Or something. His name is.
Super
He's written a book as well. And he's identified these things that are common to all these blue zones, which is where they've got the highest percentage of octogenarians, centenarians. Centre, not octa. People who live to 100, and they're trying to distill what it is about those places, because they all have very different diets. So like, one of the places is Okinawa in Japan, where they eat, this was on the TV the other day actually with Michael Mosley, but they eat a lot of these purple sweet potatoes. So part of what benefits them is thought to be this, because they don't eat white rice in the way that the Japanese traditionally do. So white rice is not great for blood sugars and sugar and all that kind of thing. Whereas the purple sweet potato contains all these compounds that plants have that are really beneficial for us. So the darker and more vibrant the colours, the better generally. So a lot of their health benefits are put down to that. But it's not all about diet either. In fact,
No,
it's
exactly.
about
There's other
social connection and
and I guess the weather and the sunlight and all that sort of
and
stuff.
living in hilly places.
Yeah,
Hilly, and so people have to maintain a certain level of fitness.
Yeah.
They don't work out, but
That's
they have
right.
to get up and down stairs.
Yeah, I think there was a house. I think on one of the episodes that was on. I don't know. It was on a farmland on a hill.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like a rice farmland. It might have been in Europe actually. It might not have been rice. But yeah, I think.
And you've got all these old people getting up and down every day. They've got to go out, have to go down, and then they have to come up.
And it's funny. I think a lot of them will smoke, which I mean is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I suppose the diet and the lifestyle might make up for that, and the low stress.
Yeah.
I think we're probably more stressed generally in the UK and probably America than other European countries. But I mean, I think I do fear, especially like the bigger cities, they're all pretty much getting the same way. With regards to like the obesity rates and so I think living in the countryside and eating your produce will obviously help.
Yeah.
So
and the sad thing, as a footnote about the blue zones, that gradually many of them are becoming not so blue.
Oh God, don't say that.
Yeah, so they're losing as they get more influence from West. Because it's not all Western, is it? That's incorrect to say that, but as they're getting outside influence from what they have had traditionally, it's diluting their powers.
Yeah, of course.
So
so
we're all doomed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then that could lead on to AI.
Yeah.
And where that's going to take us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's scary. And we might go on to that in a second.
Yeah.
So what we've covered three sort of, I mean, we didn't cover nutrition, but is there anything else that you want to cover on nutrition wise that we haven't spoke about? I don't know if there's any of those points. I can have a quick check of my phone of those.
Well, don't worry, because don't worry.
I think
honestly,
we covered.
I've got them.
Go on, in your head.
One thing we haven't, because the basis of them really, it was in the idea of being able to say, just if you're going to do 3 things, just do these 3 things.
Yeah,
they're like really simple. They cover a lot of bases. So one of them was eating foods to help your gut. So we've already covered that with the probiotic foods.
Yeah, the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah. Also prebiotic foods, which are the foods that have lots of fibre in them that help feed the good bacteria that we already have. So that's in foods. That's things like bananas, asparagus, artichokes. Asparagus and artichokes aren't general food for people every day, but the other way you get lots of probiotic fibre is from eating lots and lots of different plants. And so that would be one of my main recommendations. A really, I say easy, it's simple, it's not necessarily easy, it depends where you're starting from, but just having some extra plants in your day. And plants can be fruit, veg, herbs, spices, nuts, seeds.
The Tim Spector's big on that.
Yeah.
He's always emphasising just the variety and getting as many plants in as possible.
Yeah. And that just gives you the prebiotic fibres, but then it also gives you all those different compounds that are in all those different plants that we benefit from, undoubtedly. And that covers a lot of science, that there's so much science out there now about how we benefit from plants. So you don't have to be vegan. You don't have to buy vegan products because they're usually rubbish. They're just processed rubbish.
There's lots of additives and
exactly. But people think they're healthy because they're labelled as vegan.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to talk to me. It's been really interesting.
It's been a pleasure.
Do you have anywhere that people can contact you, or I suppose you've got the Facebook group, but I don't know where you're at with that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So are you?
We'll forget the Facebook group.
Forget that.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
All right. But if people wanted to get in touch with any questions,
just if it's all right with you, just through you, you can put along with this my email and phone details. I thought we would get on to talking about social media and how I again, back to the time thing we were talking about, I'm not busy posting on social media. I'm really happy for people to just contact me directly.
Yeah, perfect.
Word of mouth and stuff is how I've always operated, so I'm happy with that.
Perfect. All right. Pleasure. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.